This superhero literally asked her teacher to be racist to her on purpose. I'm not kidding. Look at this. The panel starts with her telling her teacher she's figured out what she wants to do when she grows up. She tells her she wants to be a scientist. And her teacher's like, that's great! Like any sane, normal teacher would say to their student. And then quite literally, she's like, no, you're supposed to tell me that people like me don't grow up to be scientists. And I should be like a nurse or a teacher or something. So I can get motivation to pursue my dreams. And then again, like a sane, rational person, the teacher's like, no, what the f***, I'm not gonna do that. But then she just stands there like this. And the worst part is she ultimately ends up caving. And she just like, says, fine, you'll never be Tony Stark, a man. Like what? This has to be a new f***ing level, folks. Just picture this. Hey, teach. If you aren't racist to me right now, then some bad things are about to happen. I'll settle for sexist. This is like me as a Hispanic saying, Mira Holmes, I need some motivation. Can you tell me I'm destined to be a gardener so I can become biomedical scientist? Woo! Damn, I'll just go sit in the corner of shame, I guess. Riri Williams is Ironheart, a brilliant MIT student inventor who's returning to Chicago after her cameo appearance in Black Panther Wakanda Forever. After her cameo appearance in Black Panther Wakanda Forever, she discovered secrets that pit technology against magic, setting her on a path of danger and destruction as she becomes entangled with the enigmatic The Hood. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna stop right there. So let me get this straight. This is a black girl who lives in Chicago, whose partner in crime is The Hood, and she was raised by a single mother, and her stepfather was killed in a drive-by. Please tell me I'm not the only one seeing this. I mean, it's whatever, dude, but they really trying hard for the stereotype right here. Let's continue, though. So apparently she was Tony Stark's apprentice, and after his, the departure in the Avengers movie, he is now back because of AI. Because why not AI? An AI copy of his consciousness, allowing her to keep being his apprentice. So what I'm hearing is the internet's gonna call her a blackwash Iron Man in 3, 2, 1. Too late. They already did. Right. Now, although I do appreciate that the character isn't actually just a black version of Iron Man, you can't tell me that they're not trying super hard to get as close as possible. Regardless, it's not that important. We wanted more black original stories, and we got it. Kind of. Yeah, sure. So let's finally get into why no one is excited for Ironheart. Number 1. The comics weren't that good. So sure, number 1 could be that people don't want a black woman Iron Man, and I'm not gonna say that it's not true in all cases. I think that it's more... She just doesn't have good interactions in the comics with other characters to be, like, likable. Now, let's look at an example. So here's a little comic strip where she's confronting someone for being in her home. As you can see, it kind of feels a little clunky, the dialogue and such. And forgive me in the last panel if it didn't just hit me with that factor, with that close-up. You weren't there. They try to make this weird stereotype of a teenager, and it just doesn't end up working. Now, I've also heard that people don't like the art of the costumes, which for me, it's whatever. I mean, I don't think it's that ugly, but I heard that others don't really like it, so we're just gonna leave that where it is. Number 2. People don't want a black woman Iron Man. Yes, I know I said it wasn't gonna be a category, but I have to grab the low-hanging fruit whenever it hangs. Now, you can call it racist, you can call it sexist, and yes, you may be correct. In some cases, but if every time we have a criticism of something we just call it racist or sexist, then we can't be the best that we can be, can we? And we want marginalized groups to have the best stories possible, so this shit doesn't happen to us in the future. Just look at this preview picture. Like, come on! Look at the suit! It literally looks like Iron Man, but just, like, altered. Like, why are they trying it to be so much like Iron Man? Like, maybe, okay, if you're gonna try and make it exactly like the comics, but in theory, the comics then also was just like a black Iron Man. They didn't do this shit with Miles Morales, like, he actually felt genuine, it felt like his own character, its own plot. And I'm not saying this isn't its own character or its own plot, but please tell me you can see the difference. With Miles Morales, I don't associate him with Peter Parker, but like with this Ironheart girl, it's like I don't really like even know a huge amount about her because the show hasn't come out yet. But it already has that vibe of, oh, it's just gonna be like another Iron Man story. Like, Miles Morales will be forever probably one of the best representations of marginalized groups ever. And what do? They took an inspiration from an idea, Spider-Man, and they funneled it into something amazing. Right now, they're taking inspiration from a great idea, Iron Man, and they're funneling it into Iron Man. And yeah, people did call him the Black Spider-Man at first, but that was reactionary. Once they looked past the smoke, they realized it was real, it was legit, it was a good story. And it ended up being one of the best Spider-Man movies ever created. But what if Ironheart's the same? Yeah, I don't know about that, Chief. It's not because I'm trying to be a hater or anything, it's just that I've kind of already looked through the smoke. I've looked through the comics, and I kind of looked at the concept art and, like, the plot, and it's just not cutting it, sister. And unless they radically change the story for the show, which they won't do, maybe they will, which they probably won't do, yeah, it won't be the same as Spider-Man. Now, this next criticism is actually interesting, and I have some mixed opinions about it. So, it's safe to say that Marvel's audience is basically mostly male, or at least skews male. And it's also safe to say that it's probably predominantly white. Okay. Now, I'm not even saying that this group of people doesn't want to see a black woman empowered or anything. Possible. Just look at some Twitter comments to find out. I believe that they're probably willing to watch good female stories. If you look at the DC universe, you have Wonder Woman. You have some of the X-Men females. And those are pretty well liked. It seems like Marvel is really missing the mark when it comes to superhero female stories. She-Hulk, flop. Captain Marvel. Not a flop financially, but received very poorly. Miss Marvel. Received poorly. And now Ironheart. Future received poorly, so she's ahead of the game. I think it probably would have to do something less with racism or sexism and more with relatability. Like, Ironheart is trying so hard to be relatable to one type of audience. Females, predominantly of color, that grew up in the hood. And that's just a generalization. If you look at, even though I just crapped on the Morning Consult demographics of Marvel fans, well, I might not agree with, like, political affiliations that are watching, because who's reporting their political affiliation when you're doing an online survey in this climate? The demographics actually kind of match the proportions of the population. So yeah, majority white, but America's kind of majority white. So like, if you base it on the percentages of like, how many Hispanics watch, how many blacks watch, etc., it kind of matches pretty evenly. So it's not just the whites rejecting it, that's the thing. And yes, Captain Marvel kind of showed that there is a potential big female audience that is building for the future. But it's just that you're gonna have to do better than, I'm a woman, so watch me. Like, women want interesting stories too, like, they're not just robots. But don't mistake this as me saying that we don't want to see more stories from marginalized communities as Marvel fans. Because just look at Black Panther. It did amazing, and that's the same audience hating on Ironheart. And sure, you can be like, oh, it's a man! And yeah, maybe they relate more to men being men themselves, like, not a crazy concept. But I just have optimism that good stories will be watched regardless of who stars in them, or what community they're written about. You only have to look at other genres of movies or shows to realize that. But I understand, sometimes you have movements like the anti-woke movement that kind of just like creates a lot of noise and doesn't give shows a chance to kind of like show what they're made of. So it's kind of amazing that these two shows right here were able to kind of escape that anti-woke movement. So if you want to see how, I'll link both of them up here so you can watch them.